All right, have a stand. Starting with standing today. All right, take a little moment, just make sure you're comfortable. Make sure your feet are nicely hip-width distance. Long, start just gently tucking the tailbone down so you lengthen through your spine. Sending it down to the mat while the crown of the head grows towards the ceiling. Soften those knees, open up your shoulders, and a gentle engagement through your pelvic floor. We'll start with just arms, just out-breathing an arm up, and then in-breathing it back down. Out. Lovely. If we bring in the legs, it's just to float up onto the toes on the opposite side. Just starting to coordinate and warm up a little bit into those joints. One more. Okay. If you're using small weights, you can grab them, or just use the weight of your arms. So we're going to take it to calf raises, just focusing on the legs for starters. Coming up onto the tiptoes, slow, controlled, lower down. So try and maintain all that height through the crown of your head. It might help to look at a fixed point for your balance, especially when we bring the arms in to lift when you're ready. Floating up, lowering down with control. Out, breath up. In, breath down. Think about keeping the tops of those shoulders down, the fronts of the shoulders nice and wide. And all that height, all that length through the whole spine. Good, keep going. Couple more. That's it. And next we'll take it to a squat. So we'll stay in our narrow base, well, our hip width base, and come down into that squat, nice and low, where the tailbone sticks out a little behind, fold forward at the hips, and then push back up again. So you can add some arm lifts at the same time as you were doing with your calf raises. If the shoulders start tiring, then we'll change it, bring it to a bicep curl instead. Try and focus on making sure your knees go straight down over your toes, they don't roll in. Also, see if you can maintain a little space beneath your arches of your feet. Feel those shoulders sliding down, shoulder blades into your pockets. Imagine that peach held under your chin, so you keep the back of the neck long. Now then, if you want to change it, change the arms. You can fold up into a bicep curl instead. But try and keep going for a few more. Okay. Let's combine the two. So do one and then the other. So float up onto the toes, lower down, bend into that squat. One, and then the other. Not yet combining them to do them both at the same time. Instead, just alternating. Before we bring it to the foot series, we'll combine them. Really starting to work into your legs, getting some good blood flow, a bit of warmth. Couple more of each. Super, and rest. Now let's take it to a slightly wider stance and we'll do our foot series out here. So the feet are wider than the hips. We'll come onto tiptoes first, floating the arms just to shoulder height. Good, and then lower down into like a plie squat. Press the heels down and then push up. Okay, so lifting the heels, lower down, press and push up. Yep, really combining them all now. Keep nice and upright with this one. We don't fold forward at the hips. Imagine instead your back is just sliding down all behind you. Good, we'll reverse it. So into the squat, keeping the bottom low, back nice and upright. Lift your heels and then press up and down. All right, so a few this way. Last couple. And rest. All right, we'll bring those feet back in again. Back to hip width. We'll take into some side bends, so some nice mermaids. In breathing the arm up your side. Little bend in the knees, so you can take it over. Try and keep the weight equal between both feet while you breathe in. And then out, breath back up again. Good. Alternating sides. That's the in-breath. Out, breath over. Getting that lovely stretch all down your side. Breathing in to deepen it. Then out, breath back up. Keeping alternating sides. So you can support yourself with your hand if you need to. Keep it light though, try and support yourself more from here. Last one to each side. Looking underneath, opening with the breath into those side ribs. Last one. And out. Good. So we'll put those weights down for now. Again, come a little bit wider so that we can squat out, keeping the hips nice and open, tailbone tucked. We're just going to fix this pelvis position to work on upper back movement. So keep the hip bones on the front, they're pointing ahead like headlights. Bring the fingertips to your temples, shoulders down, elbows wide. We'll move on the out breath, around to the side. Twisting, breathing in to hold, and then back in. Out breath around. Breathing in the stretch. Good. Just warming up these twists, ready to add them in a minute to standing scissors. Let's do one more to each side. And then back. Good. So our standing scissors, you can choose. The level one is to step forward into the stance and then do the movements there. So give you that option first. So you're in your standing stance. Bring your feet so they're hip width apart to give you a good base. Stay nice and upright, and we will lower and then lift. Okay, so think about lowering the back knee to the mat and then pushing back up. So both sets of quads are working. But if you want to, you can step into it with every rep. So you can step, lower, push yourself back, or stay in that step stance and lower. Good. Should we do one more to this side for this set? And then change sides. So if you're in that step stance, take the other leg forward. Widen until your hip width, and then practice your reps here. You can, of course, add bicep curls to these. But for our second set, we're going to add spine twists in a moment. So either there or stepping in. Last one to this side anyway, before we change it. Okay, coming back to the other side, and again you can step and stay in the stance, or step into every rep. Take your arms across your chest, take that step. When you've got the back knee nice and low, add a twist, and then a twist to the other side. And then you either come back up, because you've done that rep, or step all the way back. So it depends whether you're stepping in for every rep. Same side, let's stick with it. Lower that back knee down, twist, twist, just come back up or step back. And again, staying with this side, a couple more, twist. One more to this side. And back. All right, other side. Big step forward, lower the back knee down, twist, twist, and up, walk back. 4 all together. Make this the last one. Well done. All right, so you should be feeling like you're working hard, but we're going to keep working because we're going to come to scooter. So if you're using your balls, and just pick them up with your small weights. Feet come back to hip width apart, so that we can fold forward to start with. Folding forward at the hip, bending low into the knees. Okay, hands can start on your hips, or if you're going to lift them, they can start alongside you. Take all your weight onto one foot to free the other one up so that you can slide it back or step it back. And if you're adding the arms, they lift. Remember to keep the back of the neck long. That means looking down at the top end of your mat. Keep those shoulder tops sliding away from your ears. Nice and deep bend in your standing leg. Working hard on that side, as well as the other one, working to extend out behind you. Really strengthening the back of your body through those arms and the hip as well. Keep going if you can. Couple more to this side. And then have a rest. This is the hardest bit of your standing ones, so you're getting there. We'll take it to the other side. Little bend forward, bend through the knees. Support with your low tummy engaged. Transfer that weight over to the other leg now, ready to step back or slide back if you want to keep the toes in contact with your mat. Add the arms if you want to, or just leave them resting on your hips if not. We'll keep going. Work with your breath, out breath away, in breath back. Last few. 2 more. And then rest. Okay, and we'll take it to a balance. We'll do some standing clam, opening out the hips, but also practicing on that one leg balance. So if you find your lovely upright position, take all your weight onto one foot, be strong in the hip, so your glutes engaged, but your knee is soft. And this other one, either leave it on its toes, if you need it for balance, or try and hook it. If you can hook it there, good. Keep your hip bones pointing straight forward. We're just going to open the knee out and back. All right, so it's like lying down. You can imagine that you've got the floor that you're lying on down this side. Keeping you lovely and upright, floating through the crown of your head. These hip bones just keep pointing straight forward. See if you can keep going for a couple more. And then rest down. Okay, we'll take it to the other side. Just prepare with that strength on the side, softness in the knee. Other leg connects, and then we start moving it. So focusing on the glute that's creating this movement here. Wake it up. If it helps, you can put your hands on your hips to encourage them to stay pointing straight forward, no twisting through the pelvis. Last couple. Just make sure you keep your shoulders down. And then rest. All right. We're still going to work on hip strength in standing for one more exercise. Taking it into a one leg balance again, this time just taking the leg out to the side. So same thing, but we'll swap back onto that other leg. Strong on that side, lovely and tall. Free this leg up and see if you can lift it out to the side without leaning in the opposite direction. So you try and keep that length all the way up, like your head is floating. Good. Feel it in that glute as you lift up and out to the side. Don't worry if you don't get high with the leg, it will really depend on your hip range as well as your strength. So focus on just making sure it is all a hip movement and you're not hitching to get it up. Just one more. And then rest. Very last one. Okay, transferring the weight to the other side, freeing this one up so you can lift and lower. Out, breath out, in, breath back. Keep the shoulders open, neck lovely and long. Relaxed upper body, soft. Last 4, if you can. 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. All right. Well, we'll come down to the mat. Come down into 4-point kneel. And we're going to start with our scapular isolations. So we're going to start by finding really good position. With those hips over the knees and shoulders over the hands, length through the spine. keeping the shoulders away from your ears. So you can have a little tip and tilt through the pelvis. Find your mid-back position, your neutral spine. Good, and then what we're going to do is focus on the shoulder blade, shoulder girdle area. Think about your breastbone though, the centre of your chest, and start lowering it down to the mat. So sink between your shoulder blades. Your shoulder blades will start to come towards each other, wrapping around your back. And then go the other way. So the centre of the back starts drawing up towards the ceiling. And your shoulder blades are separating now, wrapping the other way around your back. Keep the elbows soft and straight, and just work the upper back and the shoulder girdle region, shoulder blades. Your neutral spine you maintain. It's not like cat and cow. We're not working through the whole spine for this one. Let's do one more, sinking down, breastbone towards the mat. And then as if there's a little fire underneath it, draw it away. Okay. Let's extend that though and bring it to more of a cat and cow. So this time as you sink your breastbone, also tip your pelvis forward and start pushing or elevating your breastbone towards the wall in front of you. And then you can tuck your tailbone and draw the centre of your back up to the ceiling. Don't force it, just have a breath in the stretch. You can alternate between the two now. So you're more sending the breastbone forward rather than down to the mat, tailbone out behind you. Make sure you have that breath in the position that you're stretching in, but be careful not to force this flexion. With one more in each direction. Okay, back to neutral. So what we'll do is we'll stay in the position and we'll tuck the toes under. So we're going to take it to leg pulling prone crab. So you want to engage through the pelvic floor to really centre from here, getting that deep pelvis muscle group firing up, ready for when you out breath your knees to hover off the mat. So you really feel it in your lowest abdominals and then lower that down. Good. Breath in. Out breath to hover. Breathe in to hold that position. Try and maintain your shoulders a distance from your ears. Good. I'm going to challenge you with a couple of choices though, so that you either lift and hover, have your breath in, lower, and then come into a push-up. So you alternate between those two exercises. Or you can try and do a push-up with your knees hovering. So that's the more challenging version. Up to you which you choose. So you can hover and try a little push-up there, and then lower, and do some reps, or alternate the hover with the lower. So choose what's right for you. There's a lot of pressure on the arms if you hover those knees and do the push-up. So if it's too much for your wrists, shoulders or elbows, alternate instead. If you are trying to do that push-up in the hover, try and just make sure the knees stay consistent distance from the floor while you're doing it. Good. Last one, of whichever version you're doing. And then rest. Good. All right. We're going to bring it all the way down to the mat onto our tummy. So you want something for your forehead to rest on. And if you want to use your weights for breaststroke prep, going into some hundreds, then just have them alongside your hips. Lower yourself down. Take a moment to find your length in your whole spine. So your feet are in at hip width distance. You've got that length by tucking your tailbone under. And rest your forehead on your support with that imaginary beach held under your chin. Arms alongside the body with the weights if you want to use them. Okay, start with the shoulders just dropping naturally forward. And then have your breath in there, engage your center, and out breath, the fronts of the shoulders open, hover the arms up off the mat and breathe in. Then lower everything down. So this is our breaststroke prep 1 with the option of adding weights. Maintaining neutral spine and focusing on the strength in the upper back and the backs of the shoulders. If you want to progress this, you can start hovering the forehead up with the shoulder and arm movement. Just getting that lift from your upper back area, shoulder blade area, keeping length through the low back, keeping length in the back of the neck. Breathing in while you hold it. And thinking about where you send that breath. So while you breathe in, think about it going out into the lower ribs, opening them out sideways. And we'll just do one more. And then rest down. But stay in your breaststroke prep position here. So we're going to take it to some hundreds arms. Leave the forehead resting. Don't try and come up into your level 2 for this, because this is a sustained one. Open up the fronts of the shoulders, hover the arms up with the fingertips reaching towards your heels, shoulder blades reaching into your pockets, and start pulsing back from the shoulders. So your hands, your straight arms are lifting towards the ceiling, little pulsing movements. Your head stays resting down, back of the neck long. Tailbone gently touch. Try and keep your pelvic floor engaged at that 30%. And your breath nice and steady going in, up the nose, out through the mouth. Try and keep going if you can. Don't hold your breath. Focus on your breath. Keep pulsing. You're working the backs of the arms, really strengthening through your triceps. Lastly, I'll count you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and now rest. All right. If you move your head support away now, stay on your tummy and just rest your head on your hands. And we'll take it to some swan dives. Re-lengthen the whole spine and the shoulders away from your ears. And we'll get the glutes relaxed, not tight, not tensing your bottom, your legs nice and heavy so they are not tempted to lift up off the mat. We're working through the upper back, having a breath in, and then out to lift the forehead off the hands. Come up, your breath, and then lower. Out, breath up. Extending through the upper back like you did if you took it to breaststroke 2. And then resting down. Good. If you do want to take it to level 2 of this, that is to hover the head and the hands. Big progression, maybe don't expect to come as high, but be careful not to let the legs float up off the mat. Out, breath up. Hold it there for your breath in. And then lower. Last couple. Try not to use your neck. Keep that long. Working through the upper back. And rest. Okay, we're ready to come onto our sides. Just simply doing some climb to start, so you can pop that cushion between your knees if you normally do to stop the top hip dropping in too far. This is for your level 1 with the ankles down, or level 2 with the ankles up. But if you've been working at level 3 and you want to, you can instead straighten that lower leg out. So I'll just remind you, you use the cushion in front there to rest the knee on between reps. Okay, so your choice of start position. Make sure the hips are stacked, waist is nice and long, center engaged, and we'll work from here. Now breathing that knee up. In breathing down. Remember to keep the shoulder nice and open. You hopefully don't need that hand resting, but if you do, to stop you tipping forwards and back, keep it light. Try not to rely on it too much. We're going to rely on this strength here. Keeping the hip forward towards the mat in front while you lift the knee up and back. A little pressure through the heels at the top there. Getting the last squeeze of movement. That's it, keep going for a couple more. And then rest down. Rest the ankles down, but you can stay in your bent hip and knee position for our cycling side kicks. So we're going to lift the whole of the weight of the top leg up, but keep it bent. So it's here, just hovering above, parallel to the lower leg. And then bring it forward by bending the hip. Straighten the leg out and then slide it back. So bend it to bring it forward. So we're really going to focus on that back position. Think about that small curve in your back and it not changing, even though your hip is doing all this movement. As much hip flexion and extension as your joint allows, we're going to work with, but trying to keep the pelvis and low back position nice and still. So we get that stretch down the front, squeeze in the glute, and then come forward. And all the time you're holding the weight of your leg up, so it is strengthening down the side as well. Last couple. And rest that top leg down. All right, we'll simply have a push up and over to come to the other side. I need to just move my mats though. Position yourself in your chosen climb position. Remember, 1, the ankles are down, 2, just lift them up without losing your waist space, or 3, you can straighten your lower leg. And then we're ready to start. Focusing on where you're trying to strengthen, around here at the back of the hip. So if you feel it too much down the thigh, just have a play around with your hip position. You might need to open them out a bit, or even bend them up a bit more. Okay, or it may be that if you have a lot of weakness, these muscles need some waking up and reminding. So you can put your hand there, give them some sort of tactile feedback, remind them that's where you want to be working. And keep this lowest tummy just gently engaged so you feel you're in control of it. It's not slipping down to the mat. And it will help you stay on your side. Last couple of these. And then rest all the way down. Okay, we're going to take it to the cycling side kick. Last one on this side. Lift your whole weight of your leg up. When you're ready, then bring it forward, hinging the hip, straighten the leg out, and draw the whole leg back. Trying to get that nice, smooth cycling motion through the hip and knee. Stillness through the back position. Well done. After this one, last couple. And then rest. All right, we're going to finish off coming onto our backs. You shouldn't need your head support if you can manage without it, because we're going to do shoulder bridge. So heels come nice and close to the bottom. Your feet are hip width apart. Find neutral spine. If you want to have a little tip and tilt in this position first to just check in and get that belly button pubis bone level position. Wriggle your shoulders, feel for your shoulder blades, mind your upper back before you lightly rest your arms. And then we'll take a breath in and out breath up into your shoulder bridge. So you're either peeling up or lifting up. If you peel up, then you're trying to take each vertebrae up and away from the mat one at a time. Breathing in at the top and then peeling your way back down. If that's not comfortable for your spine, or you've been recommended not to do that with your spine, you can go for that straightforward lift, engaging your glutes as if they're drawing towards each other, your sitting bones, to lift them up. Breathe in at the top and slowly with control lower them down. All right, so your choice. The peeling up, you tip into your low back space and peel your vertebrae away from the mat. Pressure's in the heels, glutes are working. And then your choice of progressions when you get to the top again. Yeah, you can do some alternate heel lifts, practicing on keeping the pelvis nice and level, alternating, coming up onto tiptoes while you sustain that lift. Okay, or you could do some dips. Squeeze and then lower. Squeeze, squeeze, Good, switching on and off through the glutes. Or if you're ready to come into that one leg version, keep the arms light, peel up and straighten out. Good, come down between sides if you need to, or do a few reps. This is our last exercise, and I want you to feel it in the glutes. So if your hamstrings are starting to kick in, glutes might be tiring, take it back down, have a rest, reset. Take it back to one of the other versions if you need to. Or keep going. Last couple to each side. Good. And come down. And let's give one knee a hug into the chest. Straighten that other one away. We'll bring it in and have a swap. And then you can do that one more time, alternating, or if you're okay to have both knees in, give both knees a hug. Lovely. Bring your feet back to the mat when you're ready. Now turn onto your side to get up. Well done.